Man shall be trained for war, and woman for the recreation of the warrior. All else is folly. Friedrich Nietzsche. The real top G. The number one philosopher in human history. He has never been bested. And possibly the most insightful psychologist before psychology was even a field. Freud stole many of his best ideas from Nietzsche. And most of the stuff that Freud came up with himself turned out to be garbage. So Friedrich was the dog. Friedrich was the dog. And that was his observation about the ideal relationship between man and woman. Man shall be trained for war, and woman for the recreation of the warrior. All else is folly. And he also said that what man seeks is danger and play. He said that makes woman the ideal target, both dangerous and playful. Yeah, if you read enough of Nietzsche, you realize how expansive his work was. It was so expansive. And so yeah, he has many insights about men and women. Male nature, female nature in modern parlance. So I'm Joseph, I'm the Wing Bro. I am here to help with all things relationship and cold approach related. And that principle has been the basis of my most successful relationships, my only successful relationships, frankly, including my current one. So what is Nietzsche talking about when he refers to war? He's not necessarily talking about everybody being in a state of permanent violent conflict. War, in this sense, can be taken to be the quest, the battle that you must engage in. And so that's what you're trained for. When your girl is there as your secretary, your girl is there as your sex slave, your girl is there as your cook. She's in support. She's in support role. That's her job. And that's where they feel the best. And that's where you frankly feel the best as well, when you're leading from the front. Despite all of the garbage of modernity, this paper-thin nonsense on top of the entire mountain of evolution, their nature always shines through. This is basically how they feel comfortable and how they're able to be a functional human being. Women who reject this it's like a man cutting his dick off. You're mentally ill. You're not a functional human being. And the world is so pussied up. Men are so pussied up in the modern day that the majority are not even capable of this very basic form of leadership. They're not even capable of it. And what you see as well, and that's just obvious everywhere, so you see all these dissatisfied women, all these mentally ill women. Obviously the culture and media tells them in some countries a load of nonsense. Well, let's be real, it's USA basically. The rest of the world is still relatively sane. But they have an outside influence on the culture, obviously, because big cultural producer. But it's interesting when you see men who embody leadership of one form or another, or who are on their quest in one way or another, whether it's the artist, whether it's the business leader, or more the political leader actually. or just a cultural leader, a musician, you see women just organically and innately basically fall at their feet. So what's your job as the man, as the warrior? Your job is essentially to pursue. It's to pursue. You go after the woman, you hunt her down, but in life you're a man in pursuit. Okay, we should all know this. But you need principles. You need to live by principles that go beyond just, well, whatever that principle is actually, that's on you to decide. But you need to have some. You need to have some principles. And you need to stick to them. Yeah, they can change, but that should be a considered change. So, let's just move to 2025. By the way, Friedrich predicted the next 150 years of European history in such a disturbing way. Some of the stuff he predicted. He said in one passage, yeah, the 20th century is just going to be an experiment. We'll run nationalism and communism. It'll cost millions of lives, but they'll probably fight each other as well. But that's the experiment that's going to get run. Yeah, and he wrote this in the 1880s. Just casual, off the cuff. You know, we struggle to even predict what the weather's going to be like. We can't predict what's going to happen next week. He predicted the next 150 years, spot on. And he predicted the rise of German nationalism. He also predicted the rise of a Napoleonic figure in Germany. That's a hell of a prediction. 60 years ahead of time. So let's relate this to modern day dating. How can we show that we're the man in pursuit and actually embody that as well? Well, for one thing, if you are this type of person, that you will magnetize a certain number of girls. They'll recognize it instantly, and you won't really. It will just be obvious. And I would say as well, this is more for like a mature relationship, this type of thing. For just sexuality and stuff, this doesn't really matter too much. But for an actual long-standing relationship, this is important. And the right girl will see this quite quickly. She's got a brain in her head. And guys like this, they don't really have too many trouble with, girls cheating on men and stuff like that. It's because the man is not man enough. It's because he doesn't stand by any principles. Yeah? He doesn't stand for anything. He's nothing really. He's just a fucking jellyfish floating in the sea. What's the girl got to stand by? There's nothing there. Yeah, so why are you surprised when she fucking cheats on you? Basically, once a girl becomes a woman, she becomes a mature adult. Which obviously in some countries that never happens, but in most countries, normal countries, that happens around about, 16 to 18, something like that. 16 to 20. This becomes more what they innately, intuitively look for. When they find guys like this, they typically stick with them if they're intelligent women, right? You see this all the time. You see this everywhere. Certain relationships, you see the girl, you can see it in the face, she's just so devoted to the guy. She's so excited to be with him. So how do we embody this? First of all, you have to decide what your principles are. This is something that happens over time. What the fuck are your principles? What do you stand for? What are your life ambitions, brother? What are they? I could have named mine at 26, 27. I knew exactly, even younger, I knew exactly what they were. And there was always a certain, not every girl was attracted to me, 90% weren't, but the 10% that were, there was that resonance, and they became almost insanely devoted. And this is at a young age as well. When I look back now, I know why it was. It's because I actually stood for something uncompromising. Yeah, I remember saying back then, I'm going to have an international life. I'm going to travel all over the world. I'm going to live in Brazil. This is long before I had a remote business, and I've done a lot more than that since then. I had my mission. I had my globe-trotting dream. I frankly point blankly refused to engage in a normal life, actually, to be honest with you. You don't have to have my dream. Have your own dream. Yeah, I'm not the authority, you're the authority. And then beyond this, how do we start to embody this in something like, for example, cold approach, which is what I teach? This is an interesting question, because I'm realizing more and more you need to be embodying this almost on the open as soon as possible, conversationally. I think for myself, I've realized, because Serbia is a more challenging territory, I've realized there's not as much room for just the chit chat bullshit. I've actually got to say straight away what I am. I'm an author who loves Serbia with an international lifestyle, and I now say that as close to the open as possible. Just sets the stage. I think this can be communicated on social media as well. Your passions, your leadership, your mission. And not in this kind of stupid corporate way, where it's actually, a lot of that, what's your mission? You work for a fucking insurance company. You have no mission. Yeah? The company doesn't give a fuck. What's your personal one? Yeah? What's your romantic dream? This is what we need to be thinking about. Don't fall into the trap of, giving your CV and stuff. That's bullshit. With your mission, it's almost like, think back to when you were a kid, think back to when you were a child. Is there anything you're still doing from there? So you can embody that on social media. Why not? Why not? But yeah, when you're actually in the relationship itself, you have the dynamic itself. She becomes your assistant. They love this. Women love this. They love it. Anyone who's had a real masculine, feminine relationship knows this. You just go after what you want. You'll basically make it very clear what your mission is, and she gets on board. She gets to become your assistant. They fucking love this, right? And if she's smart, she sees that this is my opportunity to help him. So he's going to like me more. Yeah, and it's true as well. It's my opportunity to make his life easier. I become an asset instead of a liability. Smart women know this, right? And the ones that don't, they're just too immature and stupid. It's unfortunate, but they just are. So they're not going to get the exciting life, are they? Sexuality, You are the dark, dominant beast that drags her down into the dungeon. "50 Shades of Grey," I don't need to go on about this again. It's the biggest selling book of the last 40 years. It's only read by women. What is it about? BDSM. Here you go, guys. Here's a free guide on how to fuck. You don't even need to be good in bed. Just do a bit of that stuff. That's fine. That's all they really need. A lot of it's mental. You don't even need to fuck them, You can do it over text messages. I did it on a voice call on Saturday night of a girl, and she's gone back to her village. She called me after a party. And I did the Dark Prince werewolf for her. Yeah. That was the first experience for her. It's nothing special, and I'm nothing special on this front. You just know the principles, okay? And then there, for me, I like to cook as well. I want a girl to cook for me. Just makes me feel good. Makes me a sexist. I don't care. That's what I want. And then I also want to be the guy who is the man on the path, the man with the mission. The man that can come in and sweep her away. By the way, this is much more relationship game. It's much more relationship game, and the deeper you get into the relationships, the more this applies. Dark monogamy. That is the fantasy of these girls. Dark monogamy. It actually isn't marriage with a little cake and a nice, you know the number of women I've seen, like when I go back to the UK and they're married to these husbands and stuff, and it's embarrassing when I go to like family functions or something like this, family things, parties and things, and all these people who got married and their wives are literally humiliating them, flirting with me right in front of them. They don't give a fuck about the whole, they kind of need to, I suppose. But they care more, I think they care more about this exciting stuff deep down within them. So you can embody both. But I'm teaching you how to appeal to this dark side, this underside of womanhood, by bringing out your own dark shadow. You do this, then all the regular stuff on the surface, that's all great, that's all fine and dandy. But if you do this way you get the real loyalty. You get the girl who will ride or die. Yeah? You get the bad ski, cooking your dinner, getting down on her knees for you while you take the back of her hair. This is nature. It's nature. So yeah, if currently, but you need to have the girls in your life, to be fair, to get this, to enjoy this. This is the enjoyable part. This is the interesting part. This is the fulfilling part. But you need to have the girls in your life to begin with. And that's where cold approach comes in. This is where cold approach comes in. And it actually allows you to embody this risk-taking, bold, dark prince a hell of a lot more than... You can do it actually with Tinder. You can do it with apps. You do it with Instagram. You can do it with social. But there is something incredible about the old approach. It does allow you to embody this from the very moment you lock eyes at the very first time. But you can do it with any method, to be honest with you. So what I've realized over time is it actually... Approach is a great way to start a relationship, so is the dance floor. But actually the same principles are going to apply wherever you are. And you don't get a free pass just because you did a cold approach and then the girl realizes, oh, this ain't the guy actually. So yeah, so if your WhatsApp currently looks like a graveyard of broken dreams, you currently find yourself frustrated, I'm the wing bro. Call me. It goes a lot deeper than just fucking approach, you know. It's the full-on relationships. It's the full-on dragging the girl down into the fire and burning there with her. That's really what it's about. It's really what it's about. That's the stuff you're going to remember in 50 years when you're old and decrepit. Maybe even the next life. Right guys, no sales pitch here. This is just education. Just giving you some real stuff. Hope it helps.